The story goes that in Licheng, Shandong, there was a minister Yin who, in his youth, came from a humble family. Despite his impoverished background, he possessed great courage and talent. In the county, there was a large ancestral mansion spanning several dozen acres with interconnected buildings. Due to frequent occurrences of strange phenomena, the mansion had been abandoned, left uninhabited for a long time. Eventually, it became overgrown with weeds and tangles of mugwort, to the point that not even in broad daylight would anyone dare to enter. Coincidentally, Minister Yin and his fellow classmates were enjoying drinks together, and someone made a jest, saying, "Whoever can spend a night in that courtyard, will all chip in and treat them." Minister Yin leapt up and declared, "What's so difficult about that?" He took a mat and set off. The group accompanied him to the entrance of the mansion, playfully saying, "We'll wait here for you. If you encounter any ghosts, just shout." Minister Yin chuckled and said, "If there are any spirits or foxes, I'll certainly catch them to prove it." Saying this, he entered the mansion. Inside the courtyard, the tall reeds had concealed any paths, and mugwort was dense like a forest. Fortunately, there was a faint moonlight early in the month, allowing the entrance to still be discerned. Minister Yin groped his way through several courtyards until he reached a rear building. Climbing to a platform, he found it clean and lovely, so he halted his steps. He looked towards the western moon, which had descended behind the mountains, leaving only a faint glow. He sat for a long while, observing that nothing unusual was happening, and he secretly scoffed at the absurd rumors. He found a stone to use as a pillow, reclined on his back, and admired the cowherd and weaver girl stars in the sky. As the night deepened, Minister Yin grew drowsy. Suddenly, he heard footsteps from downstairs, gradually making their way upstairs. He pretended to be asleep, casting a sidelong glance, and saw a person in blue attire carrying a lotus lantern ascending. This figure spotted Minister Yin and was startled, stepping back and saying to someone behind, "There's someone alive upstairs." The person below asked, "Who is it?" The person in blue replied, "I don't recognize them." Shortly after, an elderly man ascended, closely inspecting Minister Yin and saying, "This is Minister Yin, and he's already asleep. Let's proceed with our business." Minister Yin is not bound by worldly conventions. He might not take offense. With that, he led others to ascend the building, opening all the doors upstairs. After a while, more people came and went. Upstairs, the lights blazed brightly, as if it were daytime. Minister Yin shifted slightly in his sleep and sneezed. The old man heard him wake up, so he came out, knelt down, and said, "This humble one has a daughter who's getting married tonight. Unexpectedly, we've disturbed the guest. Please don't hold it against us." Minister Yin stood up, helped the old man to his feet, and said, "I wasn't aware of the joyous occasion in your house tonight. I feel regretful for not presenting a gift." The old man said, "Your presence, honored guest, dispels evil spirits and misfortune. That in itself is an honor. Please stay a while longer. My family is deeply honored by your presence." Minister Yin happily agreed. Entering the building, Minister Yin found its interior splendidly adorned. At that moment, a lady appeared and greeted him. She seemed to be around 40 years old. The old man said, "This is my wife." Minister Yin respectfully returned the greeting with a bow. Soon after, the sounds of pipes, flutes, and drums resounded, and someone rushed up and said, "They're here." The old man hurriedly went out to welcome them, and Minister Yin also stood up to wait. Not long after, the bridegroom, guided by numerous silk lanterns, arrived. The bridegroom, about 17 or 18 years old, was handsome. The old man instructed him to pay respects to Minister Yin first. The young men gazed at Minister Yin, who, acting as the master of ceremonies, returned a half bow. Subsequently, the father-in-law and son-in-law exchanged bows. After the bows, they took their seats. Soon, Young maids in attendance brought dishes and wine, which steamed with heat, and jade bowls and golden cups illuminated the table. After several rounds of drinking, the old man asked a servant to fetch the young lady. The servant left but took a long time to return. The old man stood up, drew back the curtain, and urged her to come out. After a while, several maids and servants accompanied the bride as she emerged. Her ornaments jingling, and her fragrance of orchids and musk filled the air. The old man instructed his daughter to bow towards above. After rising, she sat down next to her mother. Minister Yin glanced briefly and noticed her phoenix hairpin adorned with emeralds and pearl earrings, her striking beauty being unparalleled. Later, they switched to a golden goblet for wine. The goblet was large, capable of holding several due a traditional measure. Minister Yin thought that this object could serve as evidence to his classmates, so he covertly slipped it into his sleeve. He pretended to be drunk and sprawled across the table, appearing as if he were asleep. Those at the table remarked, "Minister Yin is drunk." After a while, the bridegroom announced he was leaving. Suddenly, the sound of pipes, flutes, and drums erupted, and people began to depart from the table and descend the stairs. The host then arranged the utensils and realized that a golden goblet was missing, and they couldn't find it no matter how hard they looked. Some secretly speculated that Minister Yin might have it since he was pretending to sleep. The old man heard about this and quickly warned everyone not to spread rumors, fearing that Minister Yin might hear. After a while, there was no more movement inside or outside. Minister Yin then rose, with no light around. Only the scent of cosmetics and strong alcohol filled the room. Seeing the eastern horizon beginning to brighten, Minister Yin descended the stairs slowly. He reached into his sleeve and found the golden goblet still there. When Minister Yin reached the entrance, his classmates were waiting there, and they suspected he had left in the night and returned in the morning. Minister Yin took out the golden goblet to show them. Everyone was astonished and inquired about its origin. Minister Yin recounted the events of the night. They all thought that such a valuable object couldn't be possessed by a poor scholar and thus believed his story. Later, Minister Yin passed the imperial examination and became a jinshi, securing a position as the magistrate of Feiqiu County in Guangping Prefecture, Hebei. A local dignitary named Zhu invited Minister Yin and ordered his servants to bring out a large wine cup, but it took a long time for it to arrive. A young servant whispered something to Zhu, and his expression grew angry. After a while, they brought out a golden goblet and encouraged Minister Yin to drink. Examining it closely, Minister Yin was shocked to find that the goblet's style and the carved patterns on it were identical to those on the fox's golden goblet. He inquired about its origin, and Zhu replied, "We have 8 such golden goblets in our house. They were crafted by skilled artisans under my father's supervision when he held a position in the capital. These are precious heirlooms that have been carefully preserved for generations. However, as your honor visited us, we retrieved them from their bamboo boxes and found that only 7 remained. We suspect that a family member might have stolen one. Yet, the layers of dust accumulated over a decade on the wrapping are still undisturbed, and there's no explanation for this." Minister Yin smiled and said, "Your goblet must have ascended to become a deity. Nevertheless, such precious heirlooms should not be lost, and I happen to have a goblet that closely resembles yours. I will surely present it to you as a gift." After the gathering, Minister Yin returned to his office, retrieved the golden goblet, and had someone quickly deliver it to Zhu's house. After closely inspecting it, Zhu was greatly astonished. He personally visited Minister Yin's office to express his gratitude and inquired about the goblet's origin. Minister Yin then recounted the whole story, and that's when he learned that items from thousands of miles away could be taken by foxes but weren't safe to remain in their possession.
Alright, this story has come to an end. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you.